The goal, I think, is to benefit sellers, and sellers thinking that they were being misled on what their commission was or should be or has to be, and that's never been the case. Or what their goal is to have more control over how much they're paying an agent. But I think there's going to be a lot of issues and hiccups with that, or sometimes the bigger picture is being missed, because again, it goes back to, if you're only willing to pay your listing agent maybe a smaller percentage, is that going to affect what type of agreement you have with your agent as far as how much value and effort they're going to put into your listing? Unfortunately, not deter, but it will not allow certain buyers to be able to buy this property anymore, because most buyers don't have thousands and thousands of dollars laying around to cover a down payment, closing costs, and paying an agent.
Hi everyone, I'm Huda Mabruk and I'm with the Kauffman Group. I've been with the team for about 4 years now, and Kirsten and I are going to be talking about everybody's favorite subject, NAR.
I'm Kirsten. I have been with the team for almost 7 years. Hey Huda.
Hi. So let's just talk about what everybody's talking about, NAR.
I'm here.
What have you seen that's been the biggest difference, besides all the contracts and fund documentation, when handling things with buyers?
Well, we're having to have a lot deeper conversations and what they really can afford. We're looking at numbers like right down to the nitty gritty, because we need to know, where do they want to be at? How much money do they have to bring to the table? And then we're actually talking to the listing agents a lot more if we're working with the buyer to find out what our compensation is, if they are offering one. And if they're not, then we have to have that conversation with our buyers.
Yeah.
It's a big game changer.
I think it's a game changer, but I also like the fact that there's full transparency in the beginning. You and your buyer are on the same page. Nobody's waiting until they see that final HUD document. You know what I mean? But having a deeper conversation before you meet the person, I think that's where that's at for me. I think the biggest thing that we're having to deal with is having someone sign that buyer's agency at first meet before we go show a house. That truly vets out a buyer, and if they're serious, or if they're serious about working with you per se. What are your thoughts on that?
So far, I haven't had a lot of struggle with it, surprisingly. I know some of the other people on the team have, where, most people want to just shop online. They just want to kind of see if this is what they like, and they don't want to commit to somebody for whatever reason. Maybe they've had a bad experience before, or whatever the case might be, but they're like, I don't want to sign anything yet. And it's like, but you got to go see this house.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do about that? And I think as a team, we've come up with some good ways to not buy that, but, not making them commit to us long term. And that seems to kind of let their guards down a little bit more. But yeah. It's definitely a difference from when somebody's like, oh, I want to go see a house. And especially as a new agent, all you want to do is just jump up and go. And you can't do that anymore.
Yeah. I think it's not as complicated. It's more about just being thorough and checking the boxes. And essentially we used to do that, just not right at the get-go. At least maybe not all agents. I know our team was definitely there. It's just now you're under that microscope.
We're not able to see how we're getting paid, before we ever even talk to somebody.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely clarifies things for me at the beginning. If I have a buyer whose budget is $300,000 and I know I'm looking at, let's say, X amount of houses, well, these 8 houses are offering what, our commission is. If you do happen to love these other 2 houses, then we're going to have to work that out between us and you. And that's when having a good lender comes in, because if they're tight on it, they can work it into the loan, or you could negotiate it and things like that. But it's definitely a learning curve, but we've come, I think, pretty far with it as a team.
There's definitely more steps, no matter what, for all parties involved. For the buyer's agent, the listing agent, the buyer themselves. There's more negotiations that are having to go on right now. My opinion on the changes, it sucks just as far as that goes. The reason ultimately why everything got started was a concern for steering. I think with buyers, I don't know what buyers you work with, but most of the time I could not steer a buyer to a house if I even tried or wanted to.
No.
Because if I left out that one house that they saw and wanted to see, they're going to send it to me and they're going to want to see it. And if I didn't show them that house, there's 6,000 agents in Charleston.
Mm-hmm.
They would be on to the next agent faster than I could blink, apologize, anything. So it's just, for us, I don't know, for me, that just wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
It couldn't be a thing even if we were shady in that manner. Like, it's just not a thing.
I wouldn't say know 100% what they want, but they see everything.
They know what they want to look at.
Exactly. And it just, you could send them everything that checks their boxes in their budget, but they'll send you everything in the opposite direction. So I hear you on the steering. I don't think, not in our pool of buyers at least. No. Yeah, no.
You know, and I think sellers had, you know, the misunderstanding that commissions weren't negotiable, and, you know, so now it's become a thing where it's extremely negotiable on all ends. Me personally, our team personally, I don't, you know, we still see the value in our sellers offering a commission, and that's just a conversation that we have with them.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think for the most part, sellers see the value in actually offering that commission. Like, essentially everybody needs to get taken care of, and so do you offer what you used to offer? Maybe not, but to keep it at a blank flat 0 is definitely not going to help your home move along, and then the job
the seller's
easier.
going to limit the amount of buyers that are able to purchase their house if they're not offering a commission to a buyer's agent. And most buyers want their own representation outside of the agent that's representing the seller. And there's some brokerages that don't allow agents to represent both parties. Mm-hmm. So it does make it makes it harder, and you limit your pool of buyers significantly if you're like, well, sorry guys. And it comes full circle. I mean, the math is math. It comes full circle. Mm-hmm. You know, I know some sellers feel like, well, I don't want to give a handout, or, you know, it's my money. Well, when you go to buy a house, it's the same thing. It ends up truly washing itself out.
Yeah. I feel like also with the contracts, like, it's good to just, like, we had a few attorneys come in, and that was great because they have changed a lot. So it's just to be well informed and well versed in the contracts really does
makes a difference.
Take it 10 steps easier, because we are walking our clients through them. And so when they see a bunch of numbers, ABC, whatever, check this box, check that box, they'll be like, wait, what are we doing here? So I know that we've got that down packed, and it's good that they also know that if it's all in translation from the beginning, then it's just simple math, like you said at the end, and it's just dotting the I's and crossing the T's. I think NAR at the end of the day just gives us a lot of check boxes, and it makes things a little more transparent. Is it difficult in that you have to now negotiate your commission and your quote unquote worth to the seller per se, or to your buyer if the seller isn't offering it? Yes, but as hard as agents work, I don't see that being a long-term issue, if an issue at that. I mean, we've been dealing with it for a few months now, and I don't think we've had an error. We've practiced it prior to it taking place just to be ready. And if somebody doesn't want to work with you, they're not going to wait. It's not about signing a piece of paper to show them a house. They don't want to work with you. But if they want someone to represent you 100% and make sure they've got your back from A to Z, then it's just simple.
I don't think any of us have any, or should not have a problem showing or validating our worth. It's just the people who truly want to window shop, or they want to shop, but it's just like when you go into the store and you kind of know what you're going in for, and somebody's like, can I help you with it? Nope. Good to go. I might be walking up and down the aisles of Walmart looking for olives because I don't know where they're at. Still not going to ask for it, even if somebody offers it to me. And I think that's the biggest hurdle for us is, you know, talking to these people on the phone for the first time who truly just were on Zillow probably and wanted to see something, or one of our websites, and they want to see something and they don't want to commit. It's just, that's all it comes down to. Mm-hmm. So, and it's just knowing those conversations, what to say to them and how to get them to understand, you know, really where the market's at right now and what we have to do with all the new rules.
Like who does it benefit? Like what?
Ultimately,
what's
what they're
beneficial about it?
the goal, I think, is to benefit sellers. Ultimately, that's the thought process behind it from the things that I've gathered, and sellers thinking that they were being misled on what their commission was or should be or has to be, and that's never been the case. So now sellers think, or what their goal is to have more control over how much they're paying an agent, whether they're just paying their listing agent or they're paying listing agent and a buyer agent. It's ultimately to protect them and feeling that they are forced, their hand is forced to do or pay out a certain amount. But I think there's going to be a lot of issues and hiccups with that, or sometimes the bigger picture is being missed, because again, it goes back to, if you're only willing to pay your listing agent maybe a smaller percentage, is that going to affect what type of agreement you have with your agent as far as how much value and effort they're going to put into your listing? It's going to, unfortunately, not deter, but it will not allow certain buyers to be able to buy this property anymore, because most buyers don't have thousands and thousands of dollars laying around to cover a down payment, closing costs, and paying an agent. Hell, most of the time we're lucky if they have enough for their down payment.
Mm-hmm.
So it limits how many people can actually buy your house in a quote unquote normal transaction the way that it was beforehand. But
Why is there like such a public fuss about the NAR agreement, and what are some of the major concerns from buyers or sellers as it relates to?
I think buyers, if they're on a tight budget, their concern is, oh, I have to pay the agent now. Sellers love the idea that they control the pot and who gets paid and who doesn't. What do you see as a big...
it's become a thing because DOJ is involved. So, and then it's been all over the news. It's all over TikTok. It's spun 800 different ways, and how everybody interprets it and understands it. So, and obviously the news puts it out there, that it was almost basically a negative thing, what was going on, and whatever they found was, was not here locally. It was in a very small part of the country. What's the saying about what's the saying about the hill? The anthill situation. But
making a mountain out of it.
Yeah. But it has brought on significant changes, so between how, like I said, how we're getting paid or how much we're getting paid, we don't know going into something necessarily, so the questions are having to be asked. We're having to have the conversations with agents up front, which for us, I feel like we're always taught just to pick up the phone and call people. There's other agents who, good luck getting in touch with them sometimes. Knock on wood, it's very early yet still. I haven't had too many issues. There's been some agents that have been great. Like, as soon as I schedule a showing, they're sending me everything in a text message, email, compensation agreements, whatever we need for that. And I'm like, oh, damn. I was trying to be like so-and-so or so-and-so. But
Yeah.
It's definitely going to put the pressure on for part-time agents, because you definitely have to be more proactive and more on the forefront of everything.
Exactly.
To make it happen, to make sure your buyers are protected, or your sellers. Whichever side of the transaction you're on.
I've worked both ends of the transaction, and I just feel like communication with your buyer, seller, and the agents involved, having a great admin team who's well versed in it, it's pretty straightforward. Now social media and the media in general like to just spin it and make it a topic, and yeah, everybody has their giggles about it, or oh my gosh, real estate's over. No. This is why everybody's paying. They just feel like it's in their hands to pay who and what, but here we are, and it's definitely still happening, and it's just a lot more paperwork, that's all.
Sometimes I think I have too much of a laid back attitude about it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what are we going to do about it? You just rock and roll and figure it out and adjust with the changes. At the end of the day, our jobs are still the same.
Yeah.
The end goal is still the same. There's just more phone calls and more paperwork.
Exactly.
What's a way that it's more simple for a buyer or seller to work with you guys or work with the Kauffman Group? Like what do you guys do to make it a little more simple?
Well, we introduce all the documents in the beginning. There's full transparency and clarity on what the expectations are, like our duties, obviously what we owe them, and vice versa. And also setting them up to understand that this is where our minimum is to get paid, and we'll try to make it happen as far as having a listing agent or the sellers cover it. But if that's not it, then we'll have that conversation when we get there. Don't put it to where it's a panic. The idea is that they are the client, and we do, our priority is to help them find their home. And we care. We build really tight relationships with our clients, not just for one transaction, but well, I want your mom and your cousin and your next door neighbor and everyone to want to work with me. So it's not just a one-time thing or transaction. It's more like, let's help you, help us, help everyone, and make sure that you're happy at the end of the day. So I think for us, we make that happen. And I can honestly say every agent on this team is pretty badass at rocking that. So,
I mean, we do this because we like it.
yeah.
There's, we're not forcing ourselves to do it.
Yeah.
We want to do it for, more than one reason. Obviously everybody has a job because they want to get paid. But there's always an end goal of, I just got to help somebody buy their first house. Whether it's a young couple just starting out, or maybe it's somebody who has never bought and they're 55 years old. Or, I love our military clients as well. But, we do it because we want to do it. We have fun doing it. But we set it up so no matter what, whether it's the seller or it's our buyer, I mean, we work with the #1 real estate attorney in Charleston. If it's 5 a.m., or 5 p.m. or on a Sunday, they answer us, they help us. Same thing with our lenders. We have our admin team who rocks and rolls behind the scenes when needed, all hours of the night. Being on the team and having other agents on the team makes a huge difference because we support each other. So that way if somebody is new on the team and they're just getting started, they have somebody who's been here for 3 years or somebody who's been here for 5 years, or I've been here for 7. They're not on their own, and we get it figured out. Mm-hmm. We have contractors in our back pockets that help us out. Everything is just lined up to make it as smooth of a transaction as possible. I mean, there's going to be hiccups. It's just life, but we have ways to maneuver through all of that.
Been there, done that for sure.
Can you guys brag on each other and say when there was like a win-win-win situation?
I mean, I was just, don't let her demeanor, her laid back sweetness, fool you. That Brooklyn will come out. I mean, again, it just, first of all, husband, 3 kids, cooking dinner every day, absolutely not. That does not go out of the house. So let's start there. Not happening. Lucky my kid stays alive. So.
Yeah, but you definitely juggle a lot, and you make sure,
I have a Charlene.
Yeah, you have a Charlene. You have your kid, and then you have all the side gigs that you do, and I will say, at the drop of a hat, Kirsten will answer the phone and just walk you through anything so seamlessly, like she's been in this business for decades, and it's just really an asset to the team because there's not a transaction that I didn't call her on and I had a question and she didn't say, well, try this, this, and that. Or it could be simple as like, how do I find this filter on the MLS? Or how do I do this? So
we've done that one a few times.
Yeah. So I think
8 a.m. FaceTime sessions.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
But I think we all bring something unique to the table, and different transactions, different buyers, different backgrounds. Like, we're both from New York, but she's upstate. I'm from Brooklyn. So it's just, it all ties
From the
in,
country.
and it gives to the diversity and the background of knowledge that we have that brings it to the forefront for our clients. Well, if y'all need anything, which you will, because you're either going to buy, you're going to sell, or you know somebody who does, you know where to go. The Kauffman Group.